Welcome to Gospel Tangents, the best source for Mormon history, science, and theology, and first daily Mormon history podcast. I'm Rick Bennett. In our final conversation with George Potter, we're going to dive into the Exodus. You know, some people think it was a myth, and so we'll find out more in our next conversation. You won't want to miss it. Check it out. So you said that narrow neck there at the base of Aqaba is 10 miles across?
It's 10 miles across. You can see Sharm el-Sheikh, the lights of Sharm el-Sheikh. So I drive people out here so they can see how close that is, okay? Here, 6,000 feet deep. Here, 6,000 feet deep. Here, 300 feet deep at the time of Moses. Children of Israel are trapped. They come across, this is completely barren. I drive people up this to show them how barren it is. They're probably thinking, Moses, are you out of your mind? There's no water here. So they get to Machna. At Machna, you have the springs of Moses.
Oh, okay.
Now, Moses would have known all these places because he was herding sheep. He'd been there 40 years already, herding sheep. Now, you see here, there's something that blocks the water, okay? But there's 3 feet of, the bowl has 3 feet walls all the way around it, but they've broken it out so the water flows out. So here's what we think happened there. It wasn't my idea, it was Bruce Santucci's. When Moses got there, there was no canal freeing the water here. Okay? No canal whatsoever. So what did you have? You had about 3 feet of water sitting there, stagnating with moss and what else is there? Okay? Rancid, bitter, as they might have called it in the Bible. And so people look at that and go, oh my gosh, we can't drink that. Moses just takes a branch of a tree, digs out a canal, the water flows out, and now you have all the fresh water coming out of the springs flowing. Because the water there, you could drink it today. In fact, the Muslims go there and they collect the water because it's holy to them, because the water that Moses cured. So it's pretty impressive. Okay. So where do they go next in the Bible? They go to Elim, which is just 10 kilometers up in the valley where there's palm trees and there's 12 wells. From there, there's a wadi that leads out. Oh, it's kind of hard to it's going to lead out to, there'd be the valley. It leads out to a valley here, and on road maps it's called the Wadi of Musa, and it leads up to the west side of Mount Sinai. Okay, now that wadi there, the next place that Moses goes is to the camp of the wilderness.
A wadi is like a pond, basically?
No, excuse me. A wadi is a valley.
It's a valley.
Okay, so there's a valley there. There's no water that I know of, but they come up and they stop here. That is this town Al-Bad here. That's old Midian. It's only about 10 miles up from where they would have camped in this Wadi of Musa. That's what's on road maps there.
Or Valley of Moses.
Valley of Moses.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that a possible place? Well, I don't know how old Jethro was, but he had to be very old. Okay. And Moses is not doing a very good job in his leadership. And so they get to a place where they're camped, and Jethro comes up and meets with Moses and explains to him how to organize himself, not take all the burden upon himself. So why Jethro goes up there? Jethro's old. How far could he have traveled? He's probably 100 years old or more, because Moses is at least 80 at that time. And that's by Christian standards and Islamic standards. He's an old guy himself, Moses.
Okay.
Here's Jethro as his father-in-law, so he's probably pretty old too. So I'm thinking that's where he could have got on a donkey, and Jethro could have gone up and met with him, talked to him, and gone back. Then, again, it's hard to see on this, but there's a mountain range here They go around these mountains because they can't go over them. They have to go around the mountains to the backside where the antiquities are. Now, right up in here, when we first met those Bedouin kids who were supposed to show us Mount Sinai, and they showed us the wrong mountain, they took us to where Moses, they believe, struck the rock and water comes out.
Oh,
So as you go around that mountain range, as you get to the top there, another good 25 miles probably of the camp moving to where they camp next. Again, they're thirsty as could be. Moses strikes the rock and water comes out. Well, there's actually a place there where there's an overhang of the sandstone cliff. It probably goes up 1,000 feet. At the bottom of that, water drips out and it's collects into ponds. They're small ponds. And the Bedouins come and they collect that water because, again, to them it's holy and it has medicinal values. Also, it's just really bizarre is that there are fig trees growing next to those ponds. And of course, the fig tree is symbolic of Israel.
right.
So you have now a site. I'm not totally convinced that's where it happened because it's kind of a natural feature. It's kind of like you see that same kind of natural feature in Zion's National Park and other places where the water drips out of the sandstone. But, the people, when they saw that, they probably thought, a miracle, Moses brought water out of a rock. Because today, there's still water coming out of those rocks in the middle of a barren desert. And then the next place it would have camped would have been, they would have come up next to Sinai and camped below Mount Sinai, another 20 miles or so. So it's pretty interesting. Like I say, I take a lot of people there and they all leave thinking, this is the place. This is the holy mountain. This is the mountain of the Lord. I just tell you a funny story, kind of humorous story. When we first went there, I'm thinking, my gosh, I see the golden calf altar. I see those pillars. I'm thinking, this is probably Mount Sinai. And so we talk about, let's climb up to that cave. We see this cave up there. Let's climb up to it. And so I said to the stake patriarch who had previously been in our stake presidency, a wonderful man, Tom Kohler, very spiritual. I said, Tom, you step on the mountain first. If you don't burn, then I'll take off my shoes and step on the mountain. Okay, so it's pretty convincing.
So have you talked with any other people that have different ideas of where Sinai is and gotten any pushback for your views here?
Not really. Like I said, I went to Mount St. Catherine's and both in my book, in the film that I made on it, I discuss why Mount St. Catherine's is a very poor choice.
What was the name of your film?
It's discovering the trail of Moses, because I'm talking about the whole trail. I take them to all the different sites, not just Mount Sinai.
Okay.
Or in search of the real Mount Sinai. So.
But I think even at St. Catherine's, they're like, yeah, I know this is the traditional site, but it's probably not the real thing.
Yeah, I mean, where are they going to show you? There's nothing to show you. There's a mountain up there. Got it. But what else is there? Nothing. There's a monastery there. A lot of dead bones in it from saints. But I don't want to criticize anything. I mean, I don't know that's Mount Sinai, but it's pretty convincing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other sites, what I've read about them, because I've read about the other sites, they don't seem to have anything that would really validate them or begin to think that that's really where they went. Because they had to cross the Red Sea. Where did they cross? The Gulf of Suez is too deep. Some say, oh, the tide went out. They crossed on land because the tide went out. There's a big wind. Oh, that's not really crossing the Red Sea. I mean, open the Red Sea, just doesn't meet Cecil B. DeMille's approach at all. So I haven't crossed the Red Sea, which is very interesting too, if you think about it. That canyon, we believe, is the Valley of Lemuel in the Upper Valley, Elam. What does Nephi do when he gets upset at his brothers? They're sitting right there at the Gulf of Aqaba, where I believe they crossed the Red Sea. He says, you turkeys, You have no faith whatsoever. Look at that water. Moses commanded the waters to open in the name of God, and they opened. You guys have no faith at all. But you have that visual image right there. And that's why he's using it with his brothers. Look at those waters out there, man. They crossed those things on dry land. You have no faith. You don't want to proceed to the promised land. So it's very interesting.
So what do you say to those who say the whole Exodus story is a myth? Because, if there were 600,000 people, they would have left trash and garbage and things. We should find artifacts. Are they just looking in the wrong place? Or are they really in Saudi Arabia? I mean, how do you respond to that?
Well, I don't know, and there's a big wind up here in Elk Ridge. I find trash in my yard every day. So it blows away, okay? Somebody else's trash is not mine.
Yeah, but a million
there
people.
There are artifacts.
I mean, you would expect for 600,000 people, you would expect that there would be something left behind, wouldn't you? I mean, that's like that's like New York City kind of site.
Over 3,000 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that time, if there was anything kind of left there, it'd be under dust and sandstorms. It would have been covered up a long time ago. Anything minor. Though, when we went that second time up to try to get into the Valley of Lemuel, when we got in, took photographs, we stopped again at Mount Sinai. And we found, I didn't find it, the guys with found earrings, very old earrings, metal earrings, just laying on the ground near some of those border markers. So that was a surprise to me. And I probably should ask if the guy still has them, try to get them carbon dated, if they can carbon date.
Yeah, metal, I don't think you can carbon date.
Yeah, I think
it doesn't have any carbon in it.
It could have just been a bad one's earrings, or something. So, all I can say to people is, look, if you want to come there, I'll take you there. Go on your own, and so you can now. And there's a paved road that leads you right to it. A paved road is ridiculous.
How often do you go? How often do you go to Arabia?
I'll be there 3 times this year, maybe 4th.
In 2024, you're talking about?
2023.
Oh, in 2023. So, because we're in October right now, and you're going to go 3 more times?
No, I've been 3 times.
Oh, you've been 3 times.
Going again in November.
Okay.
And there's a possibility that I'll go again later in November, do some more filming.
Okay.
But there's the next group. So
how do people get involved in these? Just call you up and say, "Hey, I want to be on your tour."
Yeah. I don't really advertise.
Okay.
Because
do you have like an email address for people if they want to contact you?
Yeah, if they'd like to contact me, it's Follow Nephi, like the prophet. One word, Follow Nephi @yahoo.com.
Okay.
If they're interested. Then I'm also taking a group to Peru in June. Because I believe we're going to talk about Peru another time.
No. We're going to talk about that today. So, and you just arrange it. What does it cost to go on a trip like this? Do you get your own airfare basically, or?
Yeah, you'd have to get your own airfare. I charge like $1,000 a week for depending. Doesn't matter how big the group is. If it's under 6 people, I can take people there myself. If it's over 6 people, I have to work with the Saudi travel agent.
Okay.
It's just the rules that they set up there.
And then where do you fly into?
Well, you fly to Jeddah or Riyadh, and then you have to take an internal flight to Tabuk, up in northern Arabia, up in Medina, a town called Tabuk. And then from there, we go, and I'll tell people, well, we not only see Mount Sinai, and we see the Valley of Lemuel, we take them to Shazar, and then we take them to the most fertile parts of the wilderness, which is an amazing place.
Okay.
Really it makes southern Utah look like nothing. As the film crew I was with the last time they were there, they said, this is southern Utah on steroids. This is just absolutely beautiful. It's a fantastic trip. So to do the whole trip takes about 8 days.
Okay.
So I'd probably charge a group $1,500 for the 8 days because I have to go there too and do other things to
Right.
arrange it.
All right.
Yeah. And then it's just, once you're there, they can't expect, unless they want to pay outrageous prices, like in Naula, where they might charge $10,000 a night for a
Ouch.
tent with a swimming pool. They're making this into where the Lehigh Knights lived, people Lehigh lived. That whole area, most fertile parts of the Bullers, they've turned that into a resort, and it's just become a 7-star resort for mega rich. But we stay in, C- hotel. So it's not like you're getting a luxury tour for whatever it's going to cost you.
Right.
So it's just my fee plus my expenses and whatever it costs them. Of course, we do have to rent vehicles and things like that to get around.
Uh-huh.
So, but people go there. Like that film group I was telling you about, they said, this is the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life.
Mm.
It's really fantastic. And I don't have to convince people. I don't go there and try to convince people. I just say, well, this is where they say is the altar of Moses. These are these marble pillars out here in the middle of nowhere. Here's this thing with gold calves all around it, Egyptian calves. I mean, I don't have to convince anybody. They can just convince themselves.
Mm.
So that's one way they can find out they really want to is go with me or go on your own. I mean, and give them instructions that they want.
Now, do you speak Arabic? I guess you must. No?
Just a little bit.
Little
Just
bit.
not
Enough to get around.
Just enough to be polite, not even to get around.
Okay.
No, I've never had any problems with the language there. The Arabs are great people.
They speak English mostly?
Well, the people at the accommodations do. You have a lot of workers from overseas who are there. They bring in, and they almost require most of them, Egyptians, Pakistanis, to know some English when they go in there. So you can get along very easy while you're there. So I don't recommend going there yourself unless you had some good, guidance. But you can do it.
If I go, I'm hanging out with you.
Okay, well, yeah, it's an adventure. So, and the people are really
What's the weather like in November, December?
beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not boiling hot.
Oh, no. You're in northern Arabia.
Okay.
So if people have been to Cairo or they've been to even Jerusalem, it's kind of like that.
Oh, almost Mediterranean, would you say, or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. You're not that far from the Mediterranean. You think about it.
Okay.
You're then probably 100 miles.
So in the summer, does it get like boiling hot or not really?
It's going to be where I lived, it would be 120.
Ooh.
In that part of Arabia, you're talking about 105, 110.
So November, December is the time to go.
I don't go there. You can't pay me to go there in the summertime.
When is the pilgrimage to Mecca? Is that in October?
No, it changes every year.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Ramadan, because we were into Ramadan last year. So Ramadan was, I believe, in March, because I was there with the group in March.
Okay.
And Ramadan started. So that lasts a whole lunar month. And then after Ramadan, a month later, you have what's called the Hajj, the pilgrimage. And so that would have been then in April, I guess, end of April. Those are two holidays. There's no big deal going there during either of those holy months. You just don't eat in public. So we would pack up. I'd go to this place that was open for breakfast before sunrise, because during Ramadan, they fast all during the daylight hours until the sun goes down. Sun comes up, sun goes down. No food, no water. So
they don't even have food at the restaurants or anything?
No, the restaurants are all closed until sunset goes down. You have to rush. And some of these places, you're not going to get the best food either. So you're going to rough it a little bit. But it's not a problem there. We just go to the stores, we pack up our coolers and and get bananas and bread and cheese and whatever else we want, and we're fine.
Okay.
I've never had anybody really complain about it. But the rest of the time, so
How much is airfare into Riyadh, would you say?
well, round trip about $1,500.
Okay.
Okay, then you have your domestic flight up to Tabuk, because we do a circle when we go there. We rent a vehicle in Tabuk, and so it used to be we had to have 4-wheel drive, had to be. But if I can get permission, and so far I've been able to get permission to go into the valley, I don't need 4-wheel drive anymore.
Okay.
Because I said they have paved road right to Mount Sinai. It was just crazy. It's gonna be,
Yeah.
So, but you still had to get a vehicle. So something like a Suburban or Tahoe or something like that, or Land Cruiser, it's going to run the whole trip's going to be probably $1,200. You split between how many people are in the car.
Right.
And then, like I said, your domestic airfare is about $300.
Within Arabia.
Yeah. And then the places I stay, they're Tabuk, we stay in the Holiday Inn the first night. We get there, and that's a nice hotel. It's really nice. And then after that, we're just staying in these like subpar hotels or just old apartments where I know people who rent me their apartments. And so that's $100 a night per apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your food until you get down to Al Ula. I go to local eateries. They're not very expensive. But you get to Al Ula, there's some pretty nice restaurants there. I mean, they made Al Ula the most fertile parts where the people of Lehi lived, and the temple of Lehi is there, and the baptismal font, and all these inscriptions with the names of Lehi and Nephi and Sam on them. That place is gorgeous. But they're making it to a nice resort.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you to continue to enjoy Gospel Tangents. Consider becoming a Patreon or go to gospeltangents.com/shop, and you can get a cool tie, a hat, or even a nice mug. You can also get a sweatshirt. So check it out at gospeltangents.com/shop.